as a product owner, it's very important how you collaborate with one or more Scrum teams, because you as a product owner obviously have a vision. You make decisions about what is valuable or what you hope is valuable for the product and your users. But in the end, the team will have to make that into a reality. So lots of collaboration is needed. So can you tell us a bit about how you approach this collaboration with your Scrum team?
Yeah, sure. Well, as I said before, we have one Scrum team in within eVillage, which primarily does the development of Clang. They are with 5 people at the moment. We're looking for more, so if you know any more developers, please contact me. And because I come from a technical background, I helped develop the program, the system as it is right now. I tend to have a close working relationship with the developers. I understand their concerns and can hopefully translate it to the stakeholders in order to prioritize the stories. So I'm physically located next to the team as well, so I keep a close eye on what's happening. I attend the daily stand-up. I do the retrospectives, of course. I have stakeholders meetings, so I try to be informed as much as possible as how things are going, so I can get everybody up to speed on the latest developments.
Cool. Can you share maybe a tough lesson you learned in collaborating with the Scrum team, or something that has been very useful for you in working with the Scrum team that might be of value to our viewers?
Yeah. Well, traditionally, because I come from a technical background, I tended to make the stories really specific. So they were just picking up the story from the top of the backlog of what and got work done and then finish it. And what we're trying to do right now is to make the team more autonomous as to how to approach things, how to build things, and get them involved as a group with the main vision of the shared goal we have for the product. So with the latest developments, we're now building a whole new module for Clang. They are involved in the early decision making and help create the framework which evolves into the product. So it's one step for me to let go of the total control of how things should work and should look, because there are a lot of good ideas coming from the developers, and they have a lot of valid concerns I have to take in consideration as well. So I like what makes me most happy is to see the team evolve from single developers to a team which work together towards a common goal we have for the product.
Okay, and it's always keeps a challenge to make this even better, right? So there's always something to improve. But I can definitely imagine, coming from a technical background, that it's sometimes hard to let go. But you have to get the ownership.
And I'm not allowed to touch the code anymore by the developer, so that's a good sign.
Have your permissions been revoked actually, or is it just an agreement?
No, just an agreement. Okay, mutual understanding.
Yeah. Are you tempted sometimes?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a very good team, so I depend on them, and I trust them to do the right thing, and they've shown to do that as well. So.
Cool. And you mentioned that you're now actually the team is rallying around the vision for this new module.
Exactly.
Can you share a bit of this vision and how it's how you use it to align the team and give them the freedom to?
Yeah, sure. We in the application we have a module called reporting, which shows you all the things that are happening around your marketing campaigns, clicks, opens, bounce, all that kind of stuff. And for a long time we know there was something missing, and we got feedback from our customers. It's okay, but it's not there yet. So we made the decision to put aside what we have now and think out of the box and from scratch. Well, what can we do using the latest technologies, using what we now know, and feedback I gathered from the customers to make a new system. What we have done previously is that someone will work out that the blueprint for the system. Someone works out the architecture for what infrastructure is needed, database, that kind of stuff. And we've now taken it upon ourselves to make that whole process happen from within the team. So DevOps is involved, architecture is involved, documenting is involved. So instead of just implementing what somebody else has thought of, the project is really embedded in the team as it's their project, and they're evolving it as we go.
Cool. So I imagine you use some practices for this, maybe together with your Scrum Master, to go from vague idea to first concrete steps.
Yeah, we time box a couple of stories really to get together in a room, get out a whiteboard and draw everything out. And a lot of discussion has happened afterwards in how to structure the documentation, how to prioritize the work, and it's really been a team effort instead of one guy telling someone else what to do.
Yeah, so in this case, you've really been collaborating as a Scrum team to get backlog for this new part.
Yeah, yeah. And they create their own stories, and we discuss it and we prioritize it, and I discuss it with the stakeholders, of course, which we'll get into in a moment.
Yes, that's the next topic, indeed. Okay. Is there anything else that you think is relevant to share about your collaboration with the Scrum team?
No, I think we've covered most of it. Yeah.
Okay. I have one more question on this topic. Sure. So you mentioned you attend the retrospectives. Mm-hmm. Did you experience in any way or have experienced maybe in the beginning of working with the Scrum team when you were still letting go of your maybe senior development position, being outside of the team in the retrospective, or how did this dynamic go with the retrospective? Because we often hear this with product owners, that there's some implied or felt hierarchy that teams need to get over.
Well, I tend to don't do the talking during the retrospectives. It's a team. The team has to feel free to discuss any points that have arisen in the last sprint. Mm-hmm. And personally, we have a very open culture within the company as a whole and the team specific to allow people to say if they're not agreeing with something, and we try to work out the best solution as a team. So I'm not trying, at least, to mandate or dictate a specific outcome of the retrospective, because it's in all our how you say it, it's it's our a shared responsibility to work together as a team. Yeah.
Yes, very good. I mean, that's the purpose of the retrospective, right? To have it as a Scrum team as a whole, with no difference. Even the Scrum Master should be able to give his points and his opinions. Yes, and the trick is, of course, to as a Scrum Master, to move your hat from facilitator to team member. Yeah. And for product owners, sometimes it's also difficult because the teams are sometimes used to listening to the product owner and saying, okay, if you want this, then we go make it. Yeah.
Well,
and in retrospective, this is
exactly,
cool. Yeah. And you mentioned the company culture. I think this is a very important lesson, maybe, the influence of the company culture as a whole can have on these kind of inspect and adapt sessions, like a retrospective, like a sprint review. What part of your culture would you say is most important in how you approach your role and work with the Scrum team?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I think it's important that we can trust each other. And part of our culture is to be as open and transparent as possible. We all work towards the same common goal. So we don't tolerate things like haantjesgedrag in Dutch. And tend to avoid people sitting in their cubicle with their headphones on and doing their own thing. So it's a team effort. And this has been part of the DNA of the company since the beginning. So luckily it survived 17 or 18 years of growing. But every time I talk to a new developer, I say from the beginning we are very open to each other. If you do something great, you'll know. If you do something not so great, you'll know as well. And the goal is to learn from your mistakes and make make everything better than the day before. Really, so so there's looking forward and not looking backwards too much.
Exactly. It's a real big emphasis on learning, openness, trust.
Exactly.
Okay, those kinds of things. And let me translate for the English viewers. Haantjesgedrag, I would say, is mostly translated as showboating.
Yeah.
So being humble is an important part of your culture.
And being proud as well.
Proud as well, yeah. So cool. I think that would conclude the part about the Scrum teams for me, and if you agree, then we can move on.
Let's move on.
So for the next part, I'm going to ask you some stuff about stakeholder management,